Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 3 of the Romford Film Festival podcast. My name is Kevin Halden. I am Nerdly Out Loud and I'm here to host these interviews. So yes, as you may know by now already, this is the Road to Romford Film Festival, the Road to HORRHIFFIC as I am calling it. And on this particular episode, I have got 2 more interviews, one with John Ferrer. Now, if you've been to the Romford Horror Festival or the normal film festival, you know John Ferrer's name. He brought us short movies like Cyanide and Trial 22. I'm a big fan of John as a director, as you will notice during the interview. So yeah, there is an interview with him. He is bringing us 2 movies this year to the horror festival, which is The Milk Situation and 1-Star Review. Both are showing on Friday the 28th of February. One of them showing Milk Situation is at 11 a.m. in the morning, and the 1-Star Review is 5 p.m. in the afternoon or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I'll put things down below. It'll be all down there. And I'm also talking to Geoff Harmer of the Anthology horror movie, technological horror movie, Virus Detected, which is showing on Sunday the 2nd of March on Screen 3 at 9 p.m. There will be a second show, and I'm not entirely sure when that showing is yet, but I will let you all know about that. Before we get into this, though, I have to quickly remind you and quickly ask you the crowdfunding for the Lumiere. Obviously, when we get to the festival, Premier Cinemas will now be the Lumiere cinema. The Romford Film Trust has come together, Spencer and the guys have come together to make the Romford Film Trust, and they are going to be opening the Lumiere cinemas. It's going to be a place where you can see independent movies, big budget movies, world cinema. Peter, there's a shout out for you. All kinds of movies. There's going to be stand-up, there's going to be events, it's going to be all these different things. Monday night quiz night, apparently. It's going to be all these different things. It's going to be more of a hub community experience rather than just going to the View and buying your popcorn gimmicky bucket with the June worm with the teeth things. Don't get me wrong, that's awesome. It has its place, but I think this is an absolutely fantastic thing that these guys are doing. I want everyone to at least check it out, at least support it. If you go over to crowdfunder.co.uk, type in Lumiere, Spencer Hawken, anything like that, you will find the crowdfunder. Because yes, they have raised a good chunk of money. I think they're like 21k on the crowdfunder. And then obviously we had a cash injection from another place, which took us up to like 40k or something like that. So we've made a chunk of change, but we're still a little way off what we need. Please do go and check it out. And you know what? If you can give £1, if you can give £2, you can give £5, that's absolutely amazing. We totally wholeheartedly appreciate that, and you will not regret being part of our crew. However, if you can't do that, we know times are tough. We know money is tight sometimes. If you can't do that, then please share the crowdfunder, because if anything is more integral to us actually raising the money, it's actually raising the profile. So if you share it on your social media or something, that is you helping us. That is you helping get the word out. Somebody that might see it on your page and be like, I'm going to give some money to that. I've got some spare shekels. That would be massively appreciated as well. So please do all of those great things. But for now, this is episode 3. We have 2 interviews in common. I'm just going to let them roll through. John Ferrer and Geoff Harmer. Please do come to the festival, 27th of February, right through to the 2nd of March. I can't wait to see you there. I'll probably be at the bar or sitting doing interviews all day, every day. I'm going to go because I'm just rambling, and enjoy these interviews.
Now, we can really get to know each other.
I mean, I'm pretty biased at this point, John. You are one of my favourite directors at the festival. I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but you are. And this year, you are bringing us 2 short movies for the Horror Fest. You're bringing us The Milk Situation and 1-Star Review. Milk Situation shown on Friday the 28th on Screen 8 at 11 a.m. as part of the Super Shorts. 1-Star Review showing on Friday the 28th as well on Screen 3 at 5 p.m. How are you today, Mr. John Ferrer? How are you?
Well, first of all, thanks for the kind words. I'm okay. I'm excited to be back at the Romford Horror Film Festival because it's always such a good vibe. It's always a really good time. There's always I feel like there's a more varied selection of like horror there. What you tend to get so often with, and I don't really know what happens behind the scenes, so maybe this isn't the case and I'm just interpreting it all wrong. But a lot of like film festivals seem to like on a year-to-year basis select a little bit of a theme through the horror film, so they can kind of segue into each other and stuff like that. Whereas I feel like every time I go to Romford, there is just the most eclectic, diverse kind of selection of horror films. And for me, I always prefer that. I don't like sticking to one theme. I like a little bit of everything, you know, like a buffet. And so I want that diversity, that mixture, and I feel like I always get it at Romford. So I always have a lovely time.
So John, we've spoken a few times, but for anyone who is new to you, anyone who's new to the festival, new to your work or anything like that, we've shown Cyanide one year that you brought us. Trial 22 was at last year's horror festival. Won an award, in fact, as well. Was it between 1 to 10K?
Yeah, we won 1 to 10K budget horror film. We won with Trial 22, which was maybe the first. I think it might have been the first award I've ever won. I want to say, outside of maybe pub quizzes. I don't think I've ever came home with a little trophy or anything. So that was cool. That was different.
But for anyone who doesn't know John, or who hasn't had the pleasure of watching any of your show, what it was that got you into filmmaking and why you wanted to do it?
What got me into filmmaking? Sorry, cut out a little bit there. What got me into filmmaking? You know, it was like, I mean, I put it in every bio I've ever written, but it's always like the most generic filmmaker story because I watched Jaws when I was about 7 years old. And then just kind of got obsessed with. At the time, I thought I was obsessed with just sharks, which I was. I suddenly had a childhood fascination with sharks, and then it kind of like evolved into dinosaurs, and then werewolves, and every other kind of like creature under the sun. Until I realized it wasn't so much the creatures I was interested in; it was actually the movies and the stories that they were part of. And then it kind of grew from there, and I went on to try making. I've been making little short films since I was about 9 years old. 8 or 9 years old, so I've just kind of never stopped. I don't intend to either, but no, from there I kind of just journeyed into the industry. I've worked a little bit in every kind of department, not every department, but most of the general departments in film. I've been a gaffer, I've been in the camera department, I've done some production design, I've done sound, I've done everything. I've been an editor, I still edit a lot now, but eventually I kind of honed in on directing and thought, no, I like storytelling. I want to be the arsehole who takes all the credits. So that's the humble reason I became a director.
What would you say over the years has been the biggest thing you've learned about making film, about filmmaking, and even more importantly, something you've learned about yourself in this process?
Oh, interesting. I say interesting just because I don't get asked these questions a lot. I've learned not to be jealous, which, you know, no one really should be. Just generally speaking, jealousy is a horrible little thing. I've learned not to be jealous, because we got programmed, and I went to university for film production, and the thing they keep just hammering home is how competitive everything is, and they just keep going like, you know, you're kind of fighting for your place in the industry. And while that's true to an extent, it was kind of painted as this like this everyone's gonna butt heads kind of industry. You're never gonna help anyone, just fight for yourself. And it's not that at all. Everyone is like done better through helping each other. And for any time that, like, I don't know, I'd been in situations where I applied for the same job as some friends, and it, you know, looking back on it, it could have been so easy to just get like jealous and be like, oh, why did they get it and not me, and stuff like that. And the truth is, like, no, first of all, you should be a good friend and be happy for them. Second of all, if you want to make it like a selfish thing, selfish coping mechanism, you have to see it as like, no, your friend making it means that one day maybe they can then lend you a hand. You know, if they climb up the ladder, they can give you a hand up the ladder too. So even if you want to think about it selfishly, there is nothing that should be competitive about it. It's an art form. Art is not competitive. It's weird. That's why I hate award seasons. I hate the Oscars. I think the nominations this year are a little bit better because we had some horrors nominated, but otherwise, just like fuck treating it like a competition, whether socially or literally like with accolades and stuff like that. So I think not being jealous is like the main thing I've learned over the years, and just kind of trying to help everyone as much as they're willing to help me, and just kind of just treat everyone with respect. I know it sounds like an easy answer, but it genuinely like made the world of difference, because so many of the films I make on the most micro budgets, to the point that, you know, most of the time, almost all of the time, we can't afford to pay people. It's a lot of kind of, if you help on this, I will help however I can afterwards. And as much as, you know, giving and taking, taking and giving back as you can do, basically. So it's genuinely helped a lot. To be fair, I only learned this quite recently. I've been really fixated on a well-paced film. That's my idea of a good film. A film can have all the flaws in the world, but if it's just kind of well-paced, it's fine. That's good. I just don't want to be bored. That's the main thing. And so because I was thinking about this recently, because so many of the films I made as a teenager, I watch them now and I'm like, yeah, this is terrible and like so badly made and everything. But there is like this lack of care to trying to make sense, that they all just kind of like move at such a good energy, and they go by so quickly. And I made loads of like films that were like half an hour long when I was in high school, and I watch them now and they still kind of feel like they're 5 minutes long. And I kind of have been trying to figure out how to get back to that and care a little bit less about about, it sounds bad, but like, you still care about the detail in a film, but try and make it more about like the overall pace, because I just think making a film boring is the biggest crime.
So going from your well-paced magnum opuses, let's talk about the two movies that you've got in with us this year. We have got The Milk Situation, and we have got the one-star review, sorry. Tell us a little bit about these two movies, and what made you want to make them, and where they came from.
So I'll start with Milk Situation, if only because that's showing first on the Friday. The Milk Situation was originally a different film entirely, and it was going to take place on a spaceship. It was part of a larger anthology feature film that was happening, and we were almost entirely ready to film it, and we were still doing it on a micro budget, but we had access to this incredible location and a lot of incredible talent that were just happy to hop on and help us make this film. And last minute, like happens so often, we kind of just lost the location. Everything kind of fell apart. And so we had, I want to say like 3 or 4 days to come up with something else. Everyone was booked in to work on that day, and people who were working for free had like booked time off work. There was no rescheduling, you know, we were hiring kit for that day. Like, it had to happen that day, basically. And so one of our stunt performers, who's kind of ended up as a producer on the film, Esme Cooper, she had a location, which I'm not actually sure if I'm allowed to disclose how we got it, because still don't know if we actually had permission to use it, but she was able to get us this giant location underground somewhere in London that had just been abandoned. And we last minute just kind of came up with another quick story, and it was like, let's do an Exorcist story instead of something on a spaceship. And I wrote a script in an evening. It was like a quick case of calling up our costume designer, Liv, and just saying, hey, we need like nun and priest outfits like ASAP. And it was the quickest last minute like putting together of a film possible. And then we ended up shooting it in a day, and on about like I'll say it was about a £500 budget. So it was a really tough little experience. A real labor of love, completely nonsensical, not much story, but a lot of energy. If ever, you know, there's a film that tries to represent my idea of like pace, I think how I do pace, like The Milk Situation is purely that. And then the other film that we've got, one-star review, is kind of the opposite in tone, but still very much a genre film. This one wasn't my idea initially. This about a year, would be a year and a half ago now, I want to say, almost a year and a half ago, I was recommended by one of the writers of that film to the producer, and we had a meeting, and I kind of gave some thoughts on how I think it might work better as a short film, because these guys, this team, led by Simon Darkman, had sort of developed the story as a feature film, potentially a TV series, and trying to cram it into like a shorter proof of concept film was proving a bit difficult, because I think what happens so often when you try and do that is you just try and cram every idea that's unique from the feature film, and you forget that like a short film is kind of just meant to be like a scene from that film. It should be like the simplest version of the film, and at least that's what I think. So we spent a couple months rewriting that, and eventually got that off the ground, and filmed for a week. Just under a week, sorry. And that was a very different experience for me. I'm not one to do something a little bit more serious. A lot of my work, I just have to interject it with like a little bit of comedy, a little bit of zany stuff. And I think this film, I did still do that. There is still like what I think is like jet black humor in there. But this was an interesting challenge, because it was much more like psychological like warfare happening for a majority of the film, as opposed to my usual stunts and slasher kind of antics. And so so it seemed like a fun challenge to try and take it on. That's kind of how it came about. But it's not my idea originally. I was kind of like a director for hire. It was cool to try that out for a change. Yeah.
I was going to say, then how does that differentiate? You know, like you've got the Milk situation, which is 100% your baby, right? A director, you're running with it, you're getting it made in a short space of time. Then other people come to you with this movie, you're a bit of a director for hire. How different is that? And I don't want to say like how much of your input are you able to throw in, but did you find yourself having to maybe like sit back a little bit on things that you thought?
Oh God, yeah. We have to make sure we're all kind of happy with it. You know, if on something like the Milk situation, there's something kind of like something a little bit more linear and easy about putting it together so quickly, because I'm putting in that £500. I'm making it happen. And so I can kind of answer to me. Whereas with One Star Review, which had a considerably higher budget, that you're responding to your producer, and trying to stick to what your writers are trying to convey. And I was involved with a lot of like the story reworking and stuff like that. So there was a lot more freedom than it's sounding like. But a lot of the time, if you're working in that capacity, you're more trying to adapt what they had in mind and what they initially pitched to you in its strongest form, as opposed to reworking it entirely to your your usual way of telling a story. I still think it changed quite a bit. I still think I got to put a lot of my silly sense of humor and some gory kills and stuff. But most of the ideas I have to give credit to the writers and producer, and it was them. I just had to think, right, how do I make it suspenseful? How do I try and make us care for this protagonist?
Obviously, I want to jump back to the Milk situation a quick second, because you did write this, and you say you wrote it overnight. But how long have you been sitting on that werewolf line?
The werewolf line.
Where they start.
Right. So interestingly enough, not my line. Completely improvised by our two wonderful leads, Felix Garcia Gaia and James. But I'd written a couple of my own jokes, but they had time while stunt rehearsals were taking place and people were in makeup, where I was just like, improvise, come back to me if you think you've got something funnier to say, and we'll try various different takes. And so that was one of them. So I can't take any credit for that line. But it's become one of my favorite lines in anything I've directed. So
it's such a good line. It's such a good line, and I'll be honest with you, I thought that's so John.
Okay, yeah, I'll take it.
In both of these shorts that you have shown for us, I always like to find out if there's a moment that you sort of envisioned to see up on the screen, a moment that sat with you for a while, like could be a shot, could be a line, could be a bit of action. Is there anything in there that you're particularly proud of in both these shorts?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots I'm proud of with both of them. Like I said, anything on a micro budget, or even the most micro budget ever, is again a labor of love to get made, and it's I've never been more proud of some, like, especially the milk situation, the way we ended up putting that together so last minute, and the way we shot so much in a day, and how hard everyone worked. You know, I want to say we got to like 40 slates or something by the end of the day. Like we shot a lot, and obviously it's very stunt heavy, so something like that I'm just endlessly proud of. I know it's not the most refined film, but I still can't believe we were able to finish it, because when I tell you, and we can talk about this more next time we meet, but when I tell you the stuff that went really wrong, yeah, fuck me, what a production. No, funnily enough, both the films, the moments I love the most from them, like little stylistic moments and moments that feel very me and my sense of humor, feel like my sense of humor, were kind of found in the edit, or someone else came up with them, and so I can't take full credit for it. There's like a very different ending for 1-star review, and I kind of forget this. The film was originally like 5 minutes longer. There is a lot more, and the ending was originally even darker and way more brutal. And it wasn't until we got to the edit and we got some feedback from people and eventually reworked it, so it was a little bit, I think it's a little bit funnier. It's still mean-spirited as hell, but again, something we found in the edit, and now it's my favorite part of the film. It was like almost a happy accident. And similarly, there's moments in the milk situation. There's a moment during some of the fight choreography where the camera just does like a full 360 spin, which, you know, is just a bit of silly camera movement. But whenever I watch it, I'm like, should have done more of that. But again, that wasn't my idea. That was our cinematographer, Maxwell Whitaker, who just did that kind of on the fly. He was holding the camera literally with his arms kind of twisted around in this weird position, and he looked at me and was just like, should we give it a go? And I was like, sure. So we did it one take, and then I gave him a few more takes to do it without the camera spin, knowing full well I was probably just going to use the spinning take in the edit anyways, because it's just very me. But no, there's like both of these films specifically. I think a lot of their strongest moments kind of came out of sheer improvisation and collaboration and other people. I think the teams we've had on these films have been like exceptional. Again, this is the thing with being a director, is like you do the interviews, you take the credit, but really it's just not you. It's just not you. What
scares you more as a filmmaker? A 1-star review from the audience, or an audience being indifferent to your movies?
Ooh, indifferent. Indifferent to me, I think indifferent, I think it means bored. And I'd rather not bored. Yeah. I'd rather they hate watching it and they come out of it at least discussing it, and they can come and, you know, have a go at me for it or whatever. Like, always happy to take on feedback. Like, and there is no harsher critic of my films than myself. So like, please, like, a 1-star review is absolutely fine. I've had my fair share of negative reviews. I'm very used to it now. I think so long as the reviews aren't personal as well, like 1-star reviews absolutely fine. If they start attacking your character without having met you, then it becomes a bit like, yeah, that's not nice. But what can you do? Ignore it, right? No, I love a negative review. They're your most useful feedback. They're what keeps you evolving as a filmmaker.
And when it comes to both of these movies, what kind of things have you been hearing? Have you been hearing good stuff, or when it's been getting shown around? Have you been enjoying the feedback with this? Obviously, not too many 1-star reviews, I hope.
No, not too many. I think a few. Or you just can't please everyone. There's always going to be a few.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I'd love to. All I want to do is make an entertaining film. I'm not there to bore people, to waste their time. Sometimes it just happens because we have such different tastes. I think they've been received fairly well. They've kind of done bigger rounds through festivals than I think I was ever expecting. I never expect anything I make to go anywhere, and it's like there's a level of professional like sheen and production value and stuff to 1-star review that immediately kind of elevates it to a point where I'm like, oh yeah, it might get into some festivals. But something like The Milk Situation, which was made on no money and put together so quickly, that's always really surreal to see it make the rounds the way it has now. And but they've had generally okay reviews. I think quite positive reviews for 1-star review, and we're talking more like 3 out of 5-star reviews for The Milk Situation, which I think is lovely. I think it's absolutely a 3-star film. I'm very happy to settle for that. I think it's silly fun, and silly fun is not really ever 5 stars to audiences, so I'm okay with that.
Do you think this is one of the things that I thought whilst watching The Milk Situation is like your films always tend to be very different. You tend to mash a lot of different genres together. You don't want to be sat inside a box, which is one of the things I absolutely love about you. But I kind of see Pip and Poe being the kind of characters who could keep cropping up in other John Ferrer movies. Could they be your Jay and Silent Bob?
You're not the first person to have mentioned this. Actually, I've had quite a few now.
Really?
So, yeah, a few unconnected people have brought up this idea, and I am completely not opposed to it. There was a week where I started drafting up feature film version ideas of The Milk Situation, and just thought, if it's about these 2 guys and their cleanup service trying to defeat monsters in an office block, what's the film like? Is it The Raid but with classic, Universal style monsters and stuff like that, and they just have to go through the levels to get to the big baddie? I don't know who the big baddie would be, to be honest. But I've played with the idea. I've considered just making another chapter in the Milk Situation story, which is just another 5-minute short where they fight another monster or something. But it's not priority right now. I can't find the money to make that, because it would get expensive. I know we did this one for cheap, but the resources we had to get for it, like the favors we had to ask for, we can't keep asking for. So we'll have to wait and see. Pip and Poe should absolutely make a comeback, though. I adore them.
So what's next, John? What are we working on next? I also have like a money is no object question for you. But first of all, what's John doing next?
Okay, I'm still. I think we spoke about this maybe last year even. I'm still in the process of getting my first feature off the ground. That looks like it will hopefully be shooting later this year. Script is nearly there. And yeah, we may have got funding for it. It might be happening. So there'll be a romantic comedy done in true zany John Ferrer fashion, hopefully by 2026. And then after that, the plan is to go straight into a horror feature film, which I'm very excited for. And I don't know how much I should say about it, but I don't know, you want to ask like, what would I do if I had whatever budget I wanted? But because I'm not in that scenario, it's a tricky case of like finding out something that's just ambitious, original enough, and hopefully crazy enough that we stand out, but that we can still afford to do on, a couple grand as opposed to a couple million. So we shall see.
I absolutely love that, man. You're always shooting for the stars as well, and I'm going to get more of that out of you when I see you 100%. But before we head off, John, do me a favour and let people know why they should check out these 2 movies at the Romford Horror Fest, and where they can check out your work after that.
They should. It's tricky bragging about your own work, isn't it? They should check it out. Yeah, it's daunting. Am I going to sound like an egomaniac or something? I think they should check them out if they like their action, their horror, their dark humor. I'm hoping there is enough in there to please a little bit of every different kind of genre fan. But if there isn't, come have a chat with me at the bar afterwards,
And I'm a big fan of The Bear, right? I'm not going to be able to watch the next series of that show.
There is actually quite a bit of horror film set in the world of cooking, but there is still not as many as you'd think there are. I think it's difficult to come up with an original concept set in that world, and the neat little idea that Simon, our producer, had with that one was, why don't we bring in a social media kind of aspect to it? Why don't we bring in a little commentary on that? And I was like, yep, that's not been done before, at least not in a culinary horror film, let's give it a go.
Thank you so much for jumping on and doing this today. This has been an absolute blast. It's always great talking to you, and I can't wait to see you down at the festival. I'm going to be doing some different things down there, so hopefully people will be able to tune in for some of that stuff as well, and we'll get you on there as well. But for now, just let people know where they can find you, where they can find your work, and we'll round it out.
Yeah, I'm to be honest, like my main platform just tends to be Instagram, because I don't know if people still use Twitter. I'm not going to call it X, or if they're on Blue Sky or Threads, whatever that was. I just Instagram at John Ferrer Films, and all my work is uploaded to there, along with pretty much any updates for what I'm doing. So.
But we have a director here, Geoff Harmer, to really sit down and thrash that one out. How are you tonight, Geoff? How's things?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Kev. Thanks very much. All good. Very excited.
That's what I like to hear. I mean, Romford Horror incoming. I can't wait to hit that bar again, because that's me.
Yeah, this will be my second time, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
I just want to ask one simple question. Why filmmaking? What got you into it? And why the hell would you do it?
Wow. I have to go back many years, I'm afraid. So basically, when I was about 6, this is how long ago it's been going for. My dad showed me this cine film that he made, and it was called Ferrer. And what it was is just him and his friends. It was all on Super 8mm. You'd see them run behind a tree, like one of my, someone there, and then the other side of that, someone else would come out the other side. It was just, stop the camera, replace the person, start the camera. But as a 6-year-old me, it was just like magic, and it was my dad doing it, and my mum was there as well. And so I kind of sort of caught the hook then, and then my dad went and bought like a roll of sort of 8mm footage or film, and we made a little animation that was called Monsters on Earth, and it was starring all my Star Wars figures and stuff at the time. and then that just kept going, and so I used to start saving my pocket money. I'd buy a reel of film, and then I really sort of went nuts, and I was obsessed by Alien at the time, and I made a fan film. So I'd seen Alien. I'd watched that around a friend's house because it had been screened on the TV. I was still quite young. I was at school, and it scared the crap out of me. And then when Aliens came out back in 1986, I and some friends, we snuck into the cinema and we watched that on the big screen, and it was so incredible that I got so tensed I locked up in my chair and I couldn't move. So because we were way too young to be there, we were desperate to get out, and I couldn't move. So they were like, Geoff, we've got to move. I'm like, I can't. And no film has ever had that sort of relationship with me. So I got really obsessed with the Alien film. So I made my own sequel called Alien 3, funnily enough. And set on a prison planet. I kid you not. And this was like in 1987. Nice. So way before Hollywood even done it. And it was with a single alien. And I'd shot it over, I think I bought 4 reels of Super 8. and I shot this with my friends about these people on a prison planet chasing one alien. Been making sort of like comedy shorts ever since. So I've kind of been making sort of short films since about 6. This is quite a long-winded answer. And eventually it all kind of really took off. I made another fan film called Overtime, which is a Star Wars fan film.
Nice.
We did it for charity originally. We sort of raised some money for charity. We did little premieres where I worked. And then I started, I've always been making sort of horror movies, well, not full-on horror movies, little more fan film, like I did Alien and some other things. And then I did a sort of comedy horror-ish film called Room 4. And that got a lot of good attention. It was just a real crowd pleaser sort of film. It made, and it's one I'm really, really proud of and I enjoy watching, particularly with the crowd. And then from then on, I started meeting the right people. I started going to festivals, started networking. And before I knew it, I was making lots and lots of shorts. My first sort of true horror film was one called Selfie, which was incredibly popular. I got loads of awards off the back of it. It's been screened multiple places around the world. And that kind of got me into the horror scene proper, doing that film. And then I just I haven't come out of it really. Everything I do has a horror twist on it. I've done one drama. I like to sort of mix comedy and horror if I can, but I also made a feature film called Addict, and then I come up with this color version with like a new edit, new scenes, new video effects, new score, everything, and that's now what's called Hosticide. And we showed that at Romford, and it went down really well. I was really chuffed with the reaction we got. We showed it at Horror on Sea as well. That's where it's had its premiere. And that's now on Prime. Got released by Dark Side, released on Blu-ray a couple of years ago. And brings me right bang up to date with Virus Detected, which is the current feature that I've worked with alongside Chris Josty, James, Sam, Paul, Pete.
Who doesn't love a horror anthology? And here you are putting a technological spin on it. Why do you think short movies put into an anthology works? Why do you think people love these? Why do you think in the last couple of years they seem to, as far as I can tell, had quite a resurgence as well?
I think I blame YouTube basically, and things like TikTok, because people have got a shorter attention span, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, and I think sometimes when people tell a story, rather than try and stretch it out for a feature length, sometimes it doesn't need all that time. It only needs 5-10 minutes max to tell that particular tale. And I think when I come across a feature film that is 2.5 hours, I'm talking in the independent film scene here, where there is very little money, I do get a little bit worried, because I think sometimes you just think, have they stretched this out too far? Have they not been brutal and trimmed it where it needs to be trimmed, cut back where they should? I always get a little bit concerned. But I think with anthologies, it's great because you can tell lots and lots of short stories and keep it fresh and keep it interesting. And that's what I really liked about Virus Detected, in that we've got this nice little cute wrapper for these really interesting tales of technological horror being created by this electrical storm, but they're all very different in tone. So we've got a sort of a creepy one, we've got a very funny one, we've got a folky horror one, we've got more of a techie one. They're not all funny. Some are funny, they're not all drama, some are. There's a whole mix of lots of different things. There's ones from very thought-provoking ones. There's a very artistic one that's kind of very much, it's beautifully shot, it's beautifully acted. It's just a nice piece, but it's not an out-and-out story. It's quite
Yeah.
you know. So there's, for me, I think there's a bit for everyone there, and that's why. And it's the same with a lot of anthologies, that there is a little bit of something that will satisfy everybody.
Absolutely. And what was the initial mandate? How did you get this band together? Because you have some of the cream of the sort of independent scene, the act behind and in front of the camera. You've got some amazing talent here. So how was it getting everyone together and getting everyone on board with this idea of let's make something cool?
I can't take the credit for any of that. That is Chris
No?
Josty. Yep, Chris
Right.
Josty. It's his idea to come up with this Forest Detected, and what he did was he approached a load of filmmakers and said, look, I've got this crazy idea, and I want to do this feature anthology with about this electrical storm that's creating objects to go crazy. And then what he did is he got us all in a Facebook group, and we had a meeting, and everyone was given an electrical item. Yeah. So and they said, right, here's your electrical item. Now you need to make a film about that going crazy, and it's got to have a horror spin of sorts. So I was one of the original just filmmakers doing one of the shorts. Ours one was called The Little Ones,
Mm-hmm.
and we were given mobile phone as the electrical item. And cutting a long story short, I ended up working alongside Chris Josty to help push it over the line. So the guy I work with quite a lot with films is a guy called Peter Hahn. And so he's just an incredible writer. And so I think Chris originally approached him and said, look, would you mind writing the rapper story? And I said, look, well, I might as well direct it. And because I directed the rapper and I directed one of the shorts, I said, look, I've got all the footage. I'll just edit the whole damn thing together. So I apologies to Chris, I kind of took over a bit. So it was Chris's idea at the start, but then teamwork makes the dream work, and then as a group we all put it together, and now we have a final product.
And how does that? Because I'm always intrigued by this with anthologies when you've got so many different directors working together. How does that work in terms of? So you're kind of now overseeing the project, and then they come in with their shorts. Is there any time where you're sitting there and you've got to have that conversation of, I like what you've done, but can we do this? Or is it just right, what you've made is what you've made, and we're going to do that. We're going to get that, edit that in and get it sorted.
I'd say it was more of the latter, because I think Chris was very good in making sure that the people that he got on board were actually good filmmakers that understood the brief, and and what I. And I don't know if Chris would agree with me on this one. I don't think I would want to try and alter any of the filmmakers' visions.
Yeah.
So because they were all so different, the only thing that we ever really struggled with was the order in which we wanted these shorts to appear, so that we wanted it to flow nicely. We didn't want to have all the sort of scary stuff at the beginning and then all the funny ones at the end or anything like that. We needed to try and balance it out. And also we had to balance it out with the script that Pete had written for the rapper, which we called Shock Jock. So it was kind of more of an assembling conversation, but we never said to anyone, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Was there any plan with the Irritable Joe character? I forget what the actress's name was. I did look
Stacey Hart.
Stacey Hart, because she's absolutely fantastic, by the way, and really kind of, even just the voice gets you on edge. You're sort of this is going to be a cracking little film here. Was there any idea of maybe stretching that portion of the movie a little bit more and maybe making that into something else?
No.
No.
There was a little bit more that we shot, but we just couldn't use it all. So, I mean, I absolutely adore Stacey. She's kind of like one of my go-to actors. So I've worked with her quite a lot over the years. And when we knew that we were going to do this radio DJ thing originally, I think Chris was thinking of a man, and I said, no, you got to have Stacey do it, because she's a singer in a band anyway. You know, she's kind of got that. She's got that silky voice, or that gravelly, kind of a mixture between the two. But she's kind of got the look. She's got the sound. I just think, out of everyone that I know, she could pull it off. And she lives up the road, which always is a help. And we get on really well. I think Stacey's is very good at sort of picking up a script and really nailing it.
What do you hope audiences take away from Virus Detected when they walk out, and if you get a chance to speak to people, what would be the one thing that you would want to know people think of the movie? What would be the one question you would ask them?
Did you enjoy it? Simple as that. That's all I want to know. I just want to know whether they enjoyed it or they didn't. If they didn't, that's fine. Go and watch another film. But if you loved it or just enjoyed it, then please go onto Letterboxd or IMDB. Give us a thumbs up somewhere around there. We just, we know there's no money in making independent film like this, or very little anyway. So we kind of all did it because we just love doing what we do. So this is a labor of love from everyone involved. And we all did it because we enjoy it. And if we enjoy it, we hope everyone else is enjoying. And that's having that sort of warm glow coming from people that we don't know is just the best thing ever. So as long as I can walk away from a screening and people say, "Oh, I really enjoyed that," that's all I need.
I think when people see the toy, they will think to themselves, "I know what I'm doing tonight."
I say nothing on that one. No, you should talk to James. He would love to talk to you about the toy, and Chris and everyone else. But yeah, I mean, I think the toy is probably my favourite. I shouldn't really say that, but it is my favourite out of the shorts that we have, because it's just ridiculous and it's funny, it's very well written, and it's right up my street, really.
And of course, it's a collaborative process making movies like this. You've got all these different actors, all these different directors, all these different writers, creators. What would you say, in amongst all of this, on this film in particular, you'd maybe learn about the filmmaking process that you maybe didn't really pick up on, or something that, even more importantly, you learn about yourself as well?
So I know that I'm a control freak. So as someone who's into directing, you do become a bit of a control freak. So working with 5-6 other people that are control freaks can be a challenge. So I wouldn't say that there were moments where I had to try and get everything together and work with Chris as well. I think it's difficult because sometimes you be quite confident with a vision, and then someone has a different vision. It's trying to work that landscape out so that what you have satisfies everybody. And I'm hoping we got there. I don't think we were too demanding between us all, but I think I found out how much I am a control freak whilst making this.
And would there be a case to be made, or a shout to be made, for everyone coming back together and doing this again, possibly, and giving us another anthology of shorts?
Well, at Horror on Sea, Chris did announce that we are looking to do a sequel.
Very good.
Which is true. So I think he again wants to try and pull in as many filmmakers together and I guess do the same sort of thing again, as in we'll give people their items to create a short film around, and then where the wrapper story goes is something as yet to be decided. But I know I've had conversations with Chris about it, so that's definitely on the cards. Maybe not quite ready for next year. I've got other things that I need to be working on as well, but it's definitely something that it's starting to rumble forwards, which is
excellent. Good. But in terms of this version of Virus Detected, what is after? Obviously, we're showing it the 27th of February through the 2nd of March. We're showing it on the 2nd. What is next for Virus Detected? What happens once it's done the festival run, and where can people get to see it after that?
So, as a collective, we still haven't 100% decided on timings and stuff, but we would like to go physical release if possible. If not, then almost certainly digital. So I've kind of been doing some of the work already. So like with Dead Air, that's, although it didn't get a physical release, it has got a digital release. Well, no, it has got a physical release, but a very limited one. Yeah, so with Virus Detected, we'll look at the possibilities of a physical release, which is what I would like, because I love the idea of holding I'm a physical release fan. I love Blu-rays, and maybe not to DVDs, but Blu-ray for sure.
Absolutely.
And if we can do that'd be great. If not, then yeah, definitely digital release sort of before the end of the year.
And talking about your directed parts of Virus Detected as well, the little ones and Shock Jock, is there any moments in there, because every director can tell me what's wrong with the movie that they've made, but when you see it up on the big screen, or when you watch it up on the big screen there, and you're not watching it on your laptop as you're editing anymore, is there any moment that you specifically filmed for this anthology that you just think looks amazing, like you absolutely nailed it and you're so damn proud of it?
Do you know what? I love everything that we shot for the film. So I love the look of the Shock Jock stuff, you know, the bright green, the bright pink sort of hues, very much the same sort of color palette we used in Dead Air, that we ripped straight out of Vamp. I love all of that, and I really like everything we shot for the little ones. I think it's a beautiful looking short, and I worked incredibly hard on the sound mix as well for the little ones. So because I started doing sound mixing from an early film I did called Smile. I used to get other people to do it, but then I'm sort of getting into it myself. So I'm really proud of the sound mix I did for the little ones in general. But I think Nathan Mountain, who's the cinematographer for both Shock Jock and Little Ones, absolutely beautiful looking. But,
absolutely. Yeah. There's not really a bad shot in amongst them, which is great to see, and that's what you want to see. And the Little Ones is a special part of that. Like it does look as gorgeous as you say it does, and it helps that you've got a cast of people who we know and we love seeing them just act mental. So it's always fun to see them.
They're just so lovely to work with.
I want to let you go in a quick hot second, but first of all, one last question that I do have to ask is, you've mentioned a few of your influences at the start. You've made some fan movies of some big films and everything. If you could show Virus Detected to any director, it can be like a horror icon or it can just be a director you love. If you could show it to absolutely anybody to get feedback from, director-wise, who would it be?
Ooh, I love this question. Can I choose two?
Yeah, it's your interview.
Okay, I think the first one, I would have to say Rose Glass. She directed Saint Maud and Love Lies Bleeding, two films that I absolutely adore. Saint Maud particularly, it really left an impression on me. And the other one would be Catherine Bigelow, two women, interestingly.
Nice.
Catherine Bigelow, obviously director of Near Dark, which is one of my favourite horror movies of all time, Blue Steel, Strange Days, etc., etc. She's, her work is incredible, and I've been a big fan ever since Near Dark. So I would choose those two.
Right, so last thing, please let people know where they can find yourself, where they can find your work, and why they should check out Virus Detected at the festival. Okay, so if they want to see anything by me personally, I've got a website called fraught.net. You can, I'm on Instagram, Blue Sky, not really, don't do the Twitter thing these days. You can find me on Facebook and stuff. But I tend to hang out on Instagram. What was the other question? So why come and see Virus Detected? Come and see Virus Detected because it's a fun labour of love. I think it took about 2.5 years in total to get from start to finish. There's a lot of talented people involved. There's no point reading them all out because there's so many, but there is some, we've got some really good writers, some really good directors. If you go to the IMDB page for the film, you'll just see it all there. There's some incredible talent involved from start to finish, and I would love for as many people to see it, and then we'll be there. I know I will be. I know some of the others will be. Just come and join us at the bar afterwards and let us know how it went.